In this video, we will save the state of the app so that we can handle the screen rotation gracefully. First, let's delete the XML code in the manifest file that fixes our activity screen orientation to portrait. And while you do that, make sure you keep hold of that angle bracket. In the last video, we've talked about how our app receives the onSafe instance state lifecycle callback when the operating system detects a screen rotation. Now it's time to override our onSafe instance state method within our main activity. The onSafe instance state method ships with an object called a bundle. This bundle variable has the name outState and will be able to store the state of our app when the main activity is being restarted due to the screen rotation. The way that information is stored inside the bundle is as a key value pair. Now, what do I mean by that? You can think of a key value pair as having the same structure as a dictionary. In a dictionary, the key is the word that you're looking up. Say our word is bug. Then the value is the definition of that word. A bug is an unintended behavior or defect in a program that causes it to crash or malfunction. Key value pairs come up in many places in programming, and you'll often see this type of data structure even referred to as a dictionary. Now let's go back to our bundle. The first piece of data that we want to store in it is the current score. This is an integer stored inside our mScore variable. To store this information, we'll take our outState and write .putInt. Now we have to supply two things, a key and a value. The key can be any word we want. I'm going to call our key score key. And the value, of course, is mScore. We're also going to have to track what question the user was on, so we don't get thrown back to the beginning of the quiz. Can you store this information in the bundle under a key called index key? I'll give you a few seconds to pause the video so you can try this for yourself. And here's the solution. Same as before, we write outState.putInt. In this case, our key is index key, and the value that we want to store is mindex, because mindex tracks the question that the user was on. Okay, so now that we've stored the information in the bundle, it's time to tell the app to check the bundle when it is being created. Going back to the top of the onCreate method, we see that it has a parameter, namely a bundle called saveInstanceState. When the app is fired up from the home screen, that saveInstanceState bundle will be equal to null, or nothing. However, we know that when the app has already been running and the screen is rotated, that bundle exists, and saveInstanceState will not be null. Let's capture this logic and check this condition in an if statement. If the variable saveInstanceState is not equal to null, then we want to do x. Otherwise, we want to do y. If our saveInstanceState bundle contains some values, then we need to restore the user score. And that means we can set our mScore variable equal to the information that we're going to pull out of our saveInstanceState bundle. A minute ago, we stored an integer in the bundle with putInt. This time, we're going to grab an integer from the bundle with getInt. Which integer do we grab? Well, we're going to grab the one under the score key. So you can already see how the score key is actually coming up in two places. We used it when we saved a value in the bundle, but we're also using it to retrieve that same value. Now, if we don't have a bundle present, what should the score be? Well, we know in this case that the user started the quiz from scratch, so mScore should be equal to 0. Now, the only thing left to do is configure our index variable. I'll give you a few seconds to pause the video and do this on your own. Okay, so here's how. In the same manner that we've retrieved the user's score, we use getInt to retrieve the value of mindex before the screen rotation. In this case, the key that we want to use is index key. And when there is no bundle available, mindex should be equal to 0. But wait, we're not done yet. Just because we've retrieved the previous value from the bundle doesn't mean that we've actually updated what's displayed on screen. Suppose I answer the first two questions correctly and rotate the screen. What happens? Our score is still reset to 0 even though we've saved the information in the bundle and retrieved it in onCreate. But what happens if I answer that third question correctly? Bam, our score jumps from 0 to 3. Why is that? Well, it's because just because we've stored information in the mScore variable doesn't mean we're actually showing it on screen anywhere. To show the score on screen, we have to set the text of the mScore text view. And where does that happen? It happens every time we click a button and it fires update question. Because in the update question method is where we set the text on the mScore text view. Okay, so ideally we want to set the text of the mScore text view after we rotate the screen, right? See if you can figure out how to do this. Pause the video and have a think about how you would change the code so you can make the app behave as expected. Did you give it a shot? Okay, so let me show you a common mistake of what not to do. You may think that you can set the score on the score text view right after you've retrieved the score from the bundle. But let's see what happens if you try and do this. I'll answer the first two questions and rotate the screen. And as soon as I do that, our app crashes immediately. Okay, so let's Sherlock Holmes why this happened. Bring up your Android monitor and take a look at this long list of error messages. Scroll over a bit to the right and let's see what it reads. Unable to start activity, Java null pointer exception. Attempted to invoke a method called setText on a text view on a null object reference. Down here we see the same message again. The offending line of code is on line 59 of our main-activity.java file. Let's click on this and bring it up. The text view in question is our mScore text view. And by null object reference, Android Studio is trying to tell us that our mScore text view actually does not exist. Why? Because even though we've declared our mScore text view up here, we actually haven't assigned any value to it until we link it to our layout with findViewById. Until this point, mScore text view contains nothing, or null. Which means if we want to use mScore text view and set the text on it, we have to do it after we link it to the layout with findViewById. So I'm going to cut this bit of code here and paste it down here. And now if I run the app again, I can safely rotate the screen without causing it to crash. And that's it. Congrats on building your first quiz app and mastering the activity lifecycle. Check out the course book if you're interested in knowing a little more about the trivia we've included behind these true and false questions.